Hello everyone and welcome back to jQuery lessons on Codecademy. So in the last lesson and in the one before that, we started looking at how we can modify elements from the HTML inside our JavaScript. Today we're going to continue with that. So our first lesson for today is called Setup. Alright, it's time to apply our newfound knowledge. So in this section we'll build an interactive to-do list that will add items to a checklist and remove them as they're checked off. We've provided necessary HTML and CSS, so these two are already filled out, and you'll provide the jQuery, or we will need to make the jQuery. So for now, all that we need to do is get our document.ready. So we know how to do that easily, and there we go. For now, that should be, oh, nope, never mind. It's not enough, there we go. Good, let's move on. Click the button, do it now, okay. You'll notice we've set up an HTML form for grabbing the user's input. So we have this, we have an input, we have an add button, which we actually cannot click yet, and we have the text to do. We'll need to store the user's input in a variable, which will allow us to append that input to the body of the HTML document later on, so that we can use it more times and get, for example, if we have multiple users, then we will want to get more than one piece of information, so we will want to store it somewhere or somehow. Let's see how we can do that. Which will allow us to append the input to the body of the HTML document later on, okay. And you can set the variable equal to the contents of the input field using .val, like so. So let's see, we have variable input, so like we normally do, we make a variable, then that we set that to be equal to something that we convert to a jQuery element. In this case it's input name equals checklist item and .val. So let's see what that does. Our selector, so that's this, I think, finds our specific input using a CSS selector on our checklist item. So that's that. We call val to get the value of the field. So whatever is in here is going to be gotten, I guess, and put into input. So instructions, let's create a .click event handler for our button class element. So make sure you pass it a function. So let's do this then. Function, and have all of that. Then inside of it we want to have a .click for it, button.click, I think. So button.click, and we want, let's not forget function in there with all of its components, and we also want a semicolon at the end of there. We need to put button and make it as a jQuery element, so that means we need to put a $sign as well as quotation marks in this case, and because it's a class we need to put the pound symbol. So this is when it's clicked, basically we need to tell it what's going to happen. So make sure you pass it a function. Yep, we have done that. And inside your function create the variable to add and set it equal to the contents of the input field. So var to add equals something. I will put a semicolon there because otherwise I will forget, and I can, what happened there, I have no idea. I can just copy that over and that should be fine. There we go. Let's see then. Actually I think we will see in the next lesson, in the next task, because I can't really do much now. Let's see. Append to body. So perfect, now we want to add our HTML element to the document. So what we have entered into the text box, we want to actually display it in our HTML. So we can do this using our handy.append function. So from the variable we're going to be appending it to our HTML now. Let's go ahead and append to our div with the .list class. We'll append a div with class equals item, since we'll want a way to target our appended divs later when we remove them. A to-do list is no good if we can't check things off it. Okay, so we'll want the contents of our div to be the contents of our input field, which we saved in the variable to add. That means when we append, we'll want to append, so we will have this div class with item, and we will append whatever is in our variable, and then the closing div. So this basically just does like a checkbox, makes sure that there's going to be a checkbox in front of. So go ahead and append a div with class equals item to the list div of your HTML document. Then make sure to click your button to add an item. So the exercise will wait for you to do so. Okay then, so let's do that. So basically what we need to do, we need to firstly delete the semicolon there, is append this line to our list ID. So that's easy enough. We need to make our list ID a jQuery element, and then append to it that line. If we do that with a semicolon on the end, let's see, it should hopefully work. So let's test it out. If we do add nothing, there should just be a blank line there, a few blank lines now. Or I guess it doesn't want to add blank lines. Let's try just adding a space. I'm just curious. It doesn't add spaces. That's interesting. And if you press enter, it kind of bugs out. But that's fine, because you can see that it is actually working. If I add anything, it's going to add it to the HTML down here, or to our website here. So moving on. Remove what's being clicked. Great job. Finally, we want to be able to check items off our list. You might think we could do this. So we have .item.click function this.remove. And that's not a bad idea. The problem is that it won't work. jQuery looks for all the .items when the DOM is loaded. So by the time your document is ready, it's already decided there are no items to remove, and your code won't work. So for this, we'll need a new event handler, which is .on. You can think of .on as a general handler that takes the event, its selector, and an action as inputs. So the syntax looks like this. You have your document, or whatever you want to do the action to, and you have .on, you have the event, then you have the selector, and then the function that you want to do something with. So the event that you're doing to something, what that something is, and then whatever you want to do to that something. So in this case, event will be click. So when it's clicked on item, so when you click an item, and the thing we'll want to call is remove this. So instructions: complete your program by adding the .on event handler as described above. It should go inside your document ready, but after and outside your button.click. So outside of that is here. Oh, after. Is it? Yeah, after that. So not there. So it's before this. So I mean after that. So we want it to be here. And I can basically just copy this, and instead of do something, I will actually type in some code there in just a second. And instead of document, I do want document here. And instead of event, then I want click. So our event is called click. When it is clicked, I want to select .item. Function is fine, and I want to remove this item. So this .remove. If I understood it correctly. And semicolon. Let's not forget the semicolon. Oops, did you call remove on this? Oh right, I need to make it a jQuery element. Let's not forget that. And now it works. So let's actually test it out. If I add something, I don't know, I'll add it a few times, and then if I click it, as you can see, it disappears. So let's add different elements, so that it's more obvious when I click one to see which one disappears. And one more. So now if I click 1, everything except for 1 should stay, but they should all shift up 1. And that is exactly what happens. Now I'm going to click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and a similar thing happens. So you can click them all, and none of them will be there now. If I add more, then you will just get even more elements there. So let's move on. And you did it. Great work, you now know how to dynamically update the content of your HTML page, including adding and removing elements. So now that you can handle manipulating the DOM on the fly, the hard part is over. In the jQuery lessons, we'll cover a wider range of jQuery event handlers and effects, which will allow you to apply your core programming skills to a variety of challenges. Click Save and Submit Code to complete this lesson and get a badge. Hopefully, yep, we got a badge, modifying HTML elements. So that's basically this lesson. If you guys have any questions about this lesson or any of the previous lessons, or even maybe in the coming up lessons, if you're going ahead without waiting for me, then feel free to ask in the comments down below. I will do my best to answer your question, and if I can't, then I will look it up and answer it, or yeah, answer it to my best. Also, if you like this video, then please give me a like, share and subscribe. If you didn't like it, give me a dislike and tell me in the comments how I can improve for next time, so that you do actually like the video. But until that next time, thank you guys so much for watching, and goodbye.